Hello everyone, my name is Dreaming Sheep and this is a demonstration video for an automatic emerald farm in modded Minecraft. When I say modded Minecraft, I just want to point out from the beginning that that could be Techit, Feed the Beast, multi-MC, however you want to set up your instance. It is not restricted to anything. It is however reliant on one essential mod, which is Tinker's Construct. There are a few other mods included in what I'm about to show you. And I will try and talk you through each of them as I get there. So the primary the main principle to this is a Tinker's Construct smeltery killing villagers. So if I just pop a villager in there, go on, there we go, you'll see he'll take some damage and you should get some emerald or molten emerald appearing within this smeltery. It's based on a design by another user or YouTube user. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, so I do apologize, but it's Bajaradar. I'll put a link in the description anyway. Have a look. His design was a little bit harder to implement, so I've just simplified this a little bit, and I'll talk you through it. So the smelter itself is it's set up with a single nugget of iron in there. You could use any metal as long as it's molten. I like the iron because it kind of looks like blood and it's a little bit more grotesque. Those shouldn't be in there, don't worry about them. And what you'll see there is the single nugget. You don't need to keep lava in here, that's just the remnants of a few tests. You could actually completely remove that if I show you quickly. If I do that, there we go. It will still work. It does not restrict anything. The iron should remain in there the way this is set up, so there's no need to keep this fueled on anything. You can obviously see the iron disappearing. This is done over here with a redstone clock. I'm using Project Red's clock. You could use vanilla, Imibus cores, red power, anything you want really. I believe a couple of other mods have clocks you can use. I'm not sure if Mindfactory Reloaded does. Above that though is a fluid duct. This does have a pneumatic servo installed. No settings on the filter, however it is set to a high redstone signal. This means that only when this clock pulses, you'll see that pops red, and that's when the iron is pulled out. Once it's pulled out, it's just pushed straight back into a second drain, so it's pulled out of a drain and then pushed into a drain. You can see they're set up in opposite directions. To do that, all you would do is stand on this side and place your drain. As you can see, if we do it on the outside, it faces outward. The large side is the input, the small side is the output, and they can go in both directions obviously. Let's put that back to glass. On the opposite side, you can see there's this containment unit. I don't know why they just called that. What it is a fluid duct with a pneumatic servo in there as well. It does have a liquefied emerald white filter. There's no need to have any redstone control on this, and all that means is when the molten iron is pulled out, the emerald drops to the bottom within the smeltery's order list. I'll just show you that quickly. If I put another couple in there, you can see the emerald stays above the iron until the iron is pulled out. It should happen any second now. Go on, there we go, and the emerald drops below, which then allows the fluid duct to pull the emerald out into the basin. Once the basin's filled up, this item duct, sorry about the cat, the item duct will pull out the emerald block. Again, this does have a servo installed, no need for any redstone control or filters, and it drops it into a storage unit of your choice. I don't keep this running at the moment, which is why there's only 3 blocks in there. You could do a vanilla hopper underneath this into a chest on the side, or another storage unit of your choice. As long as it can hold items, you should be okay. You can also do this using it's a gem cast, I believe. Yep, gem cast. I don't use those very often. And automating it in the exact same way, or you can come over and manually click on it to get a single gem instead of a block. The choice is yours. Feeding into it, what we have here is a MFR auto spawner. This does require mob essence and energy to work though, as well as a villager caught in a safari net. To do that, you need to be in survival mode, and if you shift click the villager with the safari net, you capture them. You'll see his health is 20 as well. That is very important that you have a full health. The way the liquefied emerald is formed is by damaging the villager, so if he's only got half health, you'll only get half the amount of emerald out of him. I'm just going to pop that in there. You'll see that will start spawning a couple of villagers. We then have a chronotyper set to adult mode, and all that does is pull the villagers out of the spawning area and places them into the smeltery. You can increase the size of this spawning area. I've done it on another server using a different mod pack, and I did have a full 9x9, so a proper spawning area. The only difficulty I found was actually getting the villagers into the right area for the chronotyper to work, because this chronotyper only does a 5x5 area in front of it. You can try conveyor belts. That's the first thing I tried, but unfortunately the villagers run faster than the conveyor belts can work. So all I was finding is they would run away into the corner and overload the server by having too many entities. If you're using a different mod pack, this is being filmed in the Attack of the B Team mod pack by TechIt. My original build was a Direwolf 20 Feed the Beast build, which has fans by, I think it's Open Blocks. They do work at pushing the villagers into the correct area if you set them up correctly, but they do glitch around a little bit, so it's not very pretty. I'll go over power at the end, sorry, I forgot about that. Over here we have a small breeding setup. It is a pretty standard MFR Mine Factory Reloaded breeder for cows. What this is doing is taking some cows and breeding them with wheat. Breeding them with wheat. Once they've bred, there's a chronotyper in the middle there somewhere, set to babies, and it moves all your babies from this side across to this little holding pen, and then once they grow up, this grinder kills them. The reason for this is that the grinder will produce the mob essence, which is necessary in the auto spawner back there. Two downfalls to this: in the Attack of the B Team mod pack, I can't find a easy way to void items. So you could output this into a storage unit of your choice. With cows, obviously you're getting leather, beef or steak, and random body parts depending on the mods. But for the purpose of this, I'm basically voiding them into lava. What you'll find as that kills the cows, no villagers, it'll kill the cow, you see the items drop down. It's my simplest solution, and you'll notice that it did spawn a villager, but he dropped down there. I'm guessing he spawned outside of the 5x5 area, so I would recommend having solid walls all the way around this in the entire spawnable area. Feeding into the breeder, I'm using a wheat farm. Again, this is Mine Factory Reloaded, nothing too special. What we have underneath is a planter with some seeds, as well as a harvester which pulls out all the fully grown wheat. If you want to use any other methods to increase your grow rates, this will work perfectly fine. You can bone meal this as well. I do not have bone meal on me. What I will show you quickly is how it works. So there is a bit of a routing set up to the item ducts at the back. This is just a preference of mine really, but what you'll find is all the wheat is going to the right and the seeds are going down and back into the planter. The wheat going to the right is going into the breeder for the cows, and then just as a kind of a backup really, I have two deep storage units set up. Again, you could use chests as long as you keep an eye on it every now and again. But the tricky part is making sure nothing goes in there instead of these two units. They're only there for once these units are full. And the easiest way to do that is to install pneumatic servos and add a filter to them. As you can see, that was seeds and this one is wheat. And then if you set this item duct to be dense, what will happen is it will be the last place that the item ducts try to place an item. To do that, if you grab your crescent hammer, you can then right click on it. Green for vacuum means it is the first place. Normal means it will just act as a normal pipe or ductwood, and then red means it's the last choice. Okay, I think that covers pretty much the basics for everything. The only thing left to really cover is the reason that I have these tesseracts. So we have a creative cell here just to produce energy. That's all this is doing, and that energy is being transferred with the tesseracts, as you can see, receiving energy. And that's the same for pretty much all of the tesseracts you can see here. There's another one there, and those two there. You can use whatever power source you choose. It is completely up to you. And then use something like an energy conduit, or if you're using something like one of the Feed the Beast packs, you could use some sort of cable. I've just done it this way for neatness during the demonstration. Other than that, this tesseract down the end where the grinder is, you can see is actually sending fluid as well, and that's sending it to this tesseract, which is receiving fluid. It's probably the neatest way to do this for the actual breeder, or the spawner, sorry, purely because if you used energy and item ducts, you'd need 2 inputs into the auto spawner at the top up here. So you can use one input to the bottom, and then you'd have to use one of these sides, which just looks a little bit untidy in my opinion. Although you could always put a cover of your choice, like a dirt cover, over the item duct or energy conduit, and it would look neat. So it depends on how many resources you have available. In terms of power, you'll need to figure it out however you want. Magmatic engines are probably my first choice, other than solar power, but on the Attack of the B Team mod pack there isn't really much in terms of solar power for energy production. I believe it's just the Galactical pack mod, if I'm not mistaken. You do have an option that is different, and I feel kind of funny and unique, which is sync. As you can see, I have 9 pigs set up on some treadmills, and they should be powering this energy cell. You can see it is the only form of power input. Let me just copy that. If I take that away, there's nothing else going into it, which I thought was quite funny, and yeah, why not really. The downfall to this is the 9 pigs are powering 4 grinders, I believe. Yeah, grinders. So it's just those 4 grinders, nothing else, and that is not enough power to do so on a 24/7 scale. If you leave it just powered by the pigs, it does run out of energy. So I was using that creative cell for a while just to get boosted up. I've also got this switched off, as you can tell, as it's daylight, and the server is, well, the game is currently set to only be day. I'll just cover the reason I have this here as well then. I have a zombie spawner, which is here as an alternative to the cow method. I'll go over the pros and cons in a second. The zombie, obviously you just have to be within the area and it'll spawn a zombie. No energy needed to actually do that. There's no need for a wheat farm or anything. And once they spawn, these 4 grinders cover every single block within this 9x9 area. They actually overlap on the X and Z coordinates or axis along the spawner. Once those kill them, they would output into the item ducts instead of nothing or voiding, and that's going into the storage areas. Again, I haven't had this running, which is why there's minimal in there. I also built this side so you can see how it could work without tesseracts. So I have an energy cell running all the way along, conduits. This can be done further up just to save on resources. I just thought it was nicer having it down the middle. And they are outputting to this tank. This tank could also be used, you could use a ender tank if you are on Feed the Beast. I believe there is nothing in the Attack of the B Team for that, or no ender tank. Or you could just pipe it directly into the spawner. It's completely up to you, or into a separate tank and then that tank into there. So the main disadvantage to probably this spawner setup is that you have to be within 16 blocks of the spawner. And if you don't have a spawner near your house, it's quite expensive to get one there. It is possible. There is an item called a porto spawner, if I could spell. A portal spawner is up there, and the way this would work is you right click on the spawner wherever it is in the world, and then you can right click it back where you want it to be. I am in creative, which is why I still have this. You would lose it if you were in survival, and it is quite expensive. It's a nether star, 2 diamonds, 2 glass of any sort, and 4 gold for a single use item. If you don't have a easy way of getting wither scales, you know, it can take a while. On a side note, if you move a skeleton spawner using a portal spawner into the nether, you will spawn wither skeletons. So yeah, that's the main disadvantage. Obviously, if you would have this in a dark room so that it spawns I can't think of the word. It spawns more often, really. Obviously, sunlight's a bit of a downer. When it comes to the cows, the biggest advantage is if you chunk load this. So if you chunk load the wheat farm, the cows, your power, as well as this assembly, this can run 24/7 on a server. So no one needs to be within any vicinity of it. Everyone can be logged off and you would still be producing emeralds. The biggest downfall is it is extremely slow, and obviously it's reliant on other devices. This 5x5 wheat farm is not fast enough to maintain this supply, or to supply enough wheat to maintain the breeder. So I would recommend something bigger, which means you need to add more upgrades to these 2 devices or blocks. At the moment there's a lapis upgrade, which is only a 1 block. You would need to go up to iron or gold at least. Yeah. So yeah, that does kind of cover the biggest disadvantage, that it's slow. You can obviously breed as many cows as this will allow you to do, but you still need to wait 20 minutes for each of these cows to grow up. Oh, there we go, well timed. Before the grinder will actually kill it. Let's just see from back here. You'll see as soon as they die, we should get a villager spawning, and spawning outside. So yes, extremely slow, but 24/7. So it does, you know, you've got to weigh up your options. You can use both in tandem. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. On the Feed the Beast server that I'm playing, I have some cursed earth, which spawns mobs as long as I'm within a spawnable range, so not even 16 blocks, and that is feeding into my spawner. And then I still have a cow farm, which gives me leather for mistcraft and, you know, food, which is quite handy. As long as they're both outputting into the spawner, you get fairly decent rates actually. But yes, I think that covers everything. All the little bits and pieces. There was one thing: how to make a block or the filter for your fluid duct. So to do this, all you do is get some emerald into your smeltery. So kill a villager in there. Make sure you have a bucket's worth of molten emerald. I'm just going to drop that in there. And then what you do is you get a casting table and just put a bucket in there. Right click on the faucet, and you'll see that will fill up. It looks a little bit strange, looks like it's filling up around the bucket, but once it has a full bucket in there, there we go, a liquefied emerald bucket, which you can then right click into the filter. That's not what we want. If I do that quickly, all you would do is you click onto there. If I do that very quickly, there we go. I may have just pulled it out. No, I have. Okay, so I'd recommend doing that without anything in here, or at least switching that from output mode just to anything else. And there we go. You can then place your emerald back in using some form of tank into a inward facing drain like the one on the side there, and that can then be used to refill your emeralds. Or if you really want, you can place your emerald out in the real world. Cool. I hope this was helpful in any way. If you have any questions about what was done, how it was done, feel free to ask below. Take care. Bye bye.